fights with passion, and he inspires.
Are you ready for a war?
All right, welcome back to From 8 Arbitration. Had a good week. It's nice and sunny here in Nashville. It's about 65 degrees all week and sunny. Rained a little bit towards the end of the week. Next week, it's supposed to snow. So welcome to Nashville. That's how it is. You're walking around in your shorts and short sleeve shirts, and then next week it's going to snow a couple of days. So that's what we're in store for. Hope y'all's week was a good week. Going to talk about a few things today. I'm going to get in some people's asses. Next week, I'm going to get back to basics again. We're going to talk about our responsibilities as shop stewards in the investigative interview. Had a lot of new stewards reach out to me saying that certain things are happening in investigative interviews, and we talked about those. Had a busy week last week. We talked a lot of discipline last week. People calling me, reaching out, sending it to me, looking over it. A lot of discipline. People were calling me. We was talking about it as I walked on the route. Had some advocates call me. We're dealing with some things, and so we went over some questions and some sites and things like that. And so it's a pretty busy week on the phone with people, but hey, I love doing that. We'll go over more discipline as they come in, all right? Like I said, people reach out probably more about that than anything else, because going over discipline, what to look for, that charge, if you can beat the charge, we got a good head start. And so, yeah, busy week, but that's fine. I love it. So next week, we're going to talk about our responsibilities as shop stewards in the investigative interview. All right. And I did kind of an episode years ago on that, but for some reason, and I mean, I guess it's just because new stewards and they don't know what to do going in there against an experienced supervisor or manager that may tell them to be quiet or whatever. And so next week, we're going to go over our responsibilities, and we'll have a few other things. JB is also going to come on, and he's going to talk about a lot of people reached out over this last holiday and said that they had called in and management put them in for LWOP and that they didn't get paid for the holiday. More than likely, you were put on Deems and didn't know it. Okay? More than likely, you were put on Deems and didn't know it. And so JB did a fantastic episode on Deems, a great episode on Deems. And so he's going to come back. I talked to him the other day, and he's going to come back on and kind of give a different slant, okay, on it. But more than likely, if you called in sick and you've not had any issues with attendance, and you called in sick on either side of that holiday, and you're given LWOP and not paid for the holiday, 99% of the time, you were put on Deems and didn't know it, okay? And so JB will come on and he'll talk about that. And so those are just a few things coming up. I've got some screenshots that I'm going to talk about, and then we're going to get in some people's asses, and then we're going to call it a day. I got some sites I'm going to read from to support my position, because that's how I do. If I'm going to talk some shit, I'm going to support my position. So I've got some sites I'm going to talk about. But we'll do that after I give a shout out or two. How's that sound? It says, hey, Corey, just a friendly reminder to please shout out to Crystal and Ken of Branch 4016 in Illinois and their new podcast, Beyond the Satchel, which talks about LCPF and things that affect all carriers on and off the clock. And I need to do an episode on that. I may have Groskov come on with me, because he's an expert at everything like that, and do one on LCPF. But it says, hey, Corey, just a friendly reminder to please shout out to Crystal and Ken of Branch 4016 in Illinois and their new podcast, Beyond the Satchel. So if y'all looking for another podcast to listen to, I know that y'all listen to podcasts all week. There's a lot of educational podcasts out there, which is fantastic. I think there need to be many more. Because you cannot get enough education. You just can't. And that's one of the reasons I love James so much, is his emphasis on education, educating the workroom floor. That's the reason Paul Bolanger is coming in as director of education. That's my thing. I love educating the floor. New stewards, I love it. I've sat down with many. Many have called, and we've talked for hours about different things, and I love it. I love preparing people to go against these savage motherfuckers we deal with every day in postal management, who's the most dishonest people I've ever met in my life. And I worked at the jail for 5-something years. And so, but I love preparing them to meet with those bastards, all right? And so, Beyond the Satchel, look it up, Beyond the Satchel. That's a good one for us, okay? Here's another thing. I'm going to talk, and I told y'all this, I'm going to start talking more about CLC. This is the year that we take over, right? We kicked this motherfucker out at the top. It's happening this year, which is a great thing. It's happening this year. And I'm going to talk about fundraising and donations and things like that. Things that I hate talking about, but it's a necessary evil. I was going to start this week, but I'm not. There's a GoFundMe, and I don't do this because there's a lot of people that says, hey, man, I'm not making enough money and I can't pay my bills. I get hundreds of those, and I'm just leery about doing that, okay? I hate that. I hate that I'm like that, but if you saw how many I got, how many people send those to me, I just would rather not. And I could be hurting people that legitimately need help. But I just made it a policy of mine that it's just tough for me because I get some doozies, okay? But here's what I am going to do. And it's about a carrier who got shot in the eye at work, okay? He got shot in the eye, and he is having a hell of a time. Almost died. He flatlined. 6 weeks after the shooting, he lost his right eye due to the complete severance of the optical nerve. He's having some terrible hardships, and this is our brother, okay? He is light blue. He is family. And it's cut off here, but it says, I think his compensation has decreased over $2,000 per month, and he remains unable to work. And so they have a GoFundMe for our brother, okay? And his name is Anthony Santoros. And so if you can, it's www.gofundme.com. Support letter carrier Anthony Santoros, Santoros, Road to Recovery. And if you know Debbie Dixon, she's the one who's going to be the next business agent in Region 2. It's up on her Facebook page, or you can reach out to her and ask about it. But it's www.gofundme.com. Support letter carrier Anthony Santoros, Santoros, Road to Recovery. All right? I don't ask y'all to do this. I just don't. And but here's a brother in need. He is struggling big time. Like I said, I was going to start asking donations to the CLC, but this came up. And to be honest, this is more important, okay? It's our brother that's hurting big time. Shot at work. It's got a picture of him there in the hospital. God bless him. And just terrible to think that somebody in our family is struggling. And maybe we can help out a little bit. $5, $10, $20, whatever, It's www.gofundme.com. Support letter carrier Anthony Santoros, Santoros, Road to Recovery. Like I said, if you know Debbie Dixon, it's up on her Facebook page where she is running for Region 2 business agent, and she'll win that business agent out there in Region 2. And but that's a good cause. That's a good cause for one of our people. Read a couple of these things that are coming in just to show y'all that who management is. They're sorry motherfuckers. And management will never stop lying to you. They will never stop being incompetent bastards. They just won't. They're intentional liars. That's who we deal with every single day. They intentionally lie. And I've got a few things that somebody put up. It says, at my previous post office today, service talk given about 3 minutes PM office time. They have been asked to show any manuals or handbooks. Does it state this? Also, accountables in the PM are put in red collection boxes inside the office, and the carriers are not allowed to clear. And so this was put up. Somebody said, can you help me out, and put up their email. But management at this station is saying that you have 3 minutes of PM office time. And this just goes in line with, we are now back under the 6-day count period. December's gone. You get into January, and these motherfuckers are going to do everything that they can to steal. Anything that they can to lie and steal and cheat. And that's who we're up against every fucking day. That's what we deal with. And yeah, that's the reason that our leaders are so fucking incompetent, and we're so mad at our leaders, is because they're fucking clueless about what happens on the floor. They don't have a fucking clue. They're out of touch. They don't know anything about the workroom floor. They're dumb as fuck. And so it has to come through podcasts and social media, things like that. And so here you have them saying, hey, you got 3 minutes of PM office time. Hell, it was at least 5 minutes that we were dealing with. 5 minutes of PM office time. But here at this station, you got a dumbass manager, supervisor thinking that, hey, we're going to go out there and we're going to try to steal and lie. Because that's all we're good for, is fucking lying. That's all we know, is how to be a fucking pathetic ass liar. And that's what your management is. Okay? That's the employer. Are stupid ass liars. And that's what this is. Management gave a service talk, 3 minutes of PM office time. So now what you're going to do is, and here's another one, I'll just put these all together. Had a stand-up talk today, and this was sent to me on Messenger. Supervisor said we had 45 minutes of office time. And if we go over the 45 minutes, he will take corrective action. Okay? I'll read that again. Had a stand-up talk today. Supervisor said we have 45 minutes of office time. And if we go over the 45 minutes, he will take corrective action. I wish National would do something about it instead of leaving the fight up to us at the local level. And that's all that's going to happen. And I'll get into that. I said, did we ask where he's getting that? He said, during his stand-up talk, he said the district manager is telling him to do this, as well as take corrective action if anyone goes over 45 minutes. And so here you have us in the process of 6-day count. The data now, it can be used, okay? And so they're going to come out and they're going to start squeezing us, okay? You got 45 minutes of office time now, or 45 minutes of PM, AM time. The metric was an hour. we lost 15 minutes somewhere. You got 3 minutes of PM office time being said. Hell, we lost 2 minutes on that because the motherfuckers lied about 5 minutes. You have no PM office time. It takes what it takes. In the PM, there's no set time. You'll have maybe 5 minutes of wash-up time, but there's no time in the PM. It takes what it fucking takes. And if they're saying put your accountables in a red box and don't be cleared, that's a grievance. That's similar to the red line policy. They're just trying to restrict your time. 45 minutes of AM office time, okay? If I've got 43 minutes of fixed office time with a break, that gives me 2 minutes to stick my mail, right? But here's the problem. And this is why I love James Henry and Paul Bolanger, because we're going to reach the workroom floor. We're going to educate the workroom floor. Say that this happens in a station that is by itself. You got 5 carriers, okay? You got 5 carriers in this station. They have no union representation. They'll have to call the business agent's office if they feel like something's off, for them to send in outside representation and file a grievance. And management comes in and they said, hey, the district manager has told us that you have 45 minutes of office time. And if you go over that 45 minutes, we will discipline you. You will receive corrective action. Now, to this small station, to these few carriers, why would the district manager lie to us? That's the employer, okay? Why would they lie to us like that? So, what I must do is I'm going to skip my breaks. I'm going to not pee in the morning. I'm going to make sure that I run through the office in the morning so that I'm out in 45 minutes so that I will meet that 45 minutes so I will not be disciplined. Okay? Then they tell me, now this isn't the same station, but then they tell me that, hey, you got 3 minutes to get out of the station when you get back in the afternoon. Okay? That's 48 minutes of total office time a day. 48 minutes of total office time a day. Okay? So now we got 6-day counts coming up. The data comes in and they're saying, hey, this station that's got these 5 carriers, we can take a route out of there and leave an auxiliary. So a station who probably, if they did things correctly, due to management lying to them, they have probably fucked themselves out of a route, possibly 6 carriers, have lost a route, made it an aux, because management refuses to be honest with us. They refuse to be honest with us. They intentionally lie. And that's just the fucking way it is. And they will always be that way. You've got to train yourselves. You've got to educate yourselves. You've got to have people on the floor that understand that management's a fucking liar. And that's what you've got to do. That's just what you got to fucking do. And so we will be educating the workroom floor. We'll be educating the workroom floor. I had a Zoom meeting this morning, a fantastic Zoom meeting. And it was with Orlando Gonzalez, and he's going to be the next business agent of Region 15. And every month, at the beginning of every month, he's going to have a Zoom meeting for those individuals that are in Region 15. Now, if you don't know what region you're in, you can go to the NALC website or you can Google NBA NALC. NBA, National Business Agent, NALC. And it'll pull up the business agents and you can look up your state and see who your business agent is. Because a lot of times people reach out to me. About 99% of the time when somebody reaches out to me, I'll ask, have you talked to your business agent? You know, my branch president refuses to do this. Our shop steward refuses to do this. Our formal A is refusing to acknowledge our grievances. Have you contacted your business agent? 99% of the time. 80% of the time, they say, who is it? Who is our business agent? About 80% of the time. Who is our business agent? So I will Google NBA, NALC, and I'll say, now what state are you from? They'll tell me, this is your business agent. This is our contact information right here. All right? But Region 15, that's Western Connecticut, Northern New Jersey, New York City, Long Island, Territory of Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands. That's Region 15. And Orlando Gonzalez is going to be your next business agent, and he is fantastic. He had a Zoom meeting today with members of Region 15 just to go over his game plan. And spectacular. Next one is going to be February 1st. Make sure you get on there if you're in Region 15. Get on there and listen to this brother. All right? But he's talking about, this is my agenda. These are the things that we're going to do. Had a good crowd on there today. We need to double and triple that on February 1st. And you'll see more and more of this from the CLC, those that are running for position. More and more of those will start having Zooms like this to educate their regions on what they're going to do, okay? And because it's the new year, this is the year that we take over. And so you're going to be seeing a lot more of the CLC, their plans, what they're going to implement, okay, and attempt to accomplish. And so he did a fantastic job. Emphasis on education, which to me, you're going to win me over with that. And you put an emphasis on education. And so it was a fantastic Zoom. Encouraging because I'm all about it. I'm all about educating the members. And you look at these small stations, and that was one of the things that he emphasized is these small stations. Task force for these smaller stations. Now, when we talk about Dogs of War, Paul Bolanger and I, you talk about the toxic working environment. I'll talk about that in just a second. But 6-day counts would be a fantastic opportunity for the Dogs of War to have a 6-day count teams going in. Have several people message me saying that they came in, told us that the data showed an hour coming out of the station or two, and they did it through core and it took out 3 routes. That's what you're going to get because management, again, is so dishonest. Whatever the numbers show, they're going to do 2 times that or 3 times that. That's just who they are. They're fucking dishonest as shit. And so I would love to have teams like that, 6-day count teams, falsification of data teams. Obviously, the toxic working environment is going to be addressed. That's going to be priority day 1. We're going to put priority on that, okay? And so, but yeah, the smaller stations that are getting run over, they have to have an avenue. And I said this years ago, there has to be something that these small stations can do to get attention. A lot of these business agents don't give a shit about the smaller stations because they're not votes. That's the bottom line. A lot of these business agents, it's not about the city letter carrier. It's about keeping their position. That's all it is. You'll have them coming out of the fucking woodwork now. Business agents coming out. Hey, look, during the last 3 years, I've been great. All these things that I've done. You'll see them on podcasts and different things like that. Look at me here. Look at my region. I am great. I am fantastic. I've done all these great things. You'll see them. They love the big branches. They love them because they're a lot of votes. Smaller branches, you'll never hear from them. We're going to change that. We're going to put emphasis on the smaller stations to make sure that they are represented, because an injury to one is an injury to all. But here's what I say to any of those bitch-ass business agents that come out now and start talking about how fucking great you are and all these things that you have, all this fucking experience that you have, and you're going to see them. If I didn't hear from you in any capacity, over the last 3 fucking years, during Brother Gates when he passed away, if I didn't hear from you during that, fuck off. These memos that came out that completely fucked over the city letter carrier, if I didn't see anything from you or hear anything from you about 1982, 83, or 84, those memos, the times, how sickening those were, how fucked over the city letter carrier was because of that. If I didn't hear from you or see anything from you, fuck off. The falsification of HIP training. If I didn't hear anything from you or see anything from you, or the whiteboards, how to beat those, or these metrics that were so devastating to the city letter carrier, the hour office time, stationary events. And I'm not talking about coming onto my podcast, taking things off with there and sending it out like it was your own, like y'all were doing, which is fine. I told y'all come get my shit, but taking my shit, putting it out there like it's your own, I'm not talking about that. That's too fucking easy. The hour office times, these EPs for the seat belts, the auto pivots, SPM scans, how to beat that shit. If I didn't hear from y'all or see anything from y'all during that period of time, fuck off. I don't give a fuck how great you are. If your ass was peeking out of the fucking closet in fear of this motherfucker at the top, this cowardly bitch-ass president we've got, if y'all are scared, too fucking scared to come out of the fucking closet and stand up for the city letter carrier and not stand up for you or whoever else because you're too fucking worried about your fucking salary, fuck off. That pisses me off more than the cowardice of these business agents during these last 3 fucking years. You didn't hear a fucking peep from them. And now they want to come out all of a sudden. Look at how fucking great I am. Look at all the shit I've done. Look at my fucking resume. I don't give a fuck about you or your fucking resume. That's the bottom fucking line. We've been in the fucking street fight here over all these things I just mentioned. If I didn't hear shit from you, from the TA for the 700 fucking days that it took, the carriers fucked over for 700 fucking days. If you didn't make a peep during that time, shut your fucking mouth now. That's what you do. If the TA, when it got voted down or it came out, and you saw what was happening to your people, if you saw what was happening to Table 2, to the CCAs, the COLAs, the complete dishonesty of this bitch-ass president at the top, if you didn't say nothing then, fuck off. That's all I got to say. I want motherfuckers who fight, who are not afraid to open up their fucking mouths when shit is real. That's all in the fuck we've been doing. Y'all can like me, don't like me. I don't give a fuck either way. But I've been in this motherfucking fight for the last 3 fucking years, taking y'all's punk ass to task because y'all ain't doing your fucking job. You can vote for me, don't vote for me. I'll be delivering mail if I don't make it as EVP until I retire. And I will still be on this motherfucker fighting y'all sorry ass lazy bastards for not doing what y'all should be doing for the city letter carrier. Period. It's about light blue and that's it. It's not about your funky ass salary or trying to protect somebody. And y'all want to come out now. After the fucking fight is over, y'all see Renfro ain't going to make it. Hell, the motherfucker may not even run. And y'all want to come peeking out of the closet. Is it over? Is the fight over? So somebody could win? Hey, look at me. I'm so fucking fantastic. Look at my resume. The shit I've done. Fuck you. Fuck you. I remember when I was in school, I had a best friend. His name was Junior Tibbs. And Junior Tibbs was skinny, little, and that motherfucker could fight. I'm talking about, you talking about a street fighter? This motherfucker would fight anything. I saw the craziest, this is, I swear on my life, and the life of all my family on this story here. We were fighting these kids one day. They were running their mouth. And this kid throws a lawn dart. Y'all remember the old lawn dart? That was dangerous to sell. I don't know why they ever came out with those. But Junior's walking away, and this motherfucker throws this lawn dart. And it's sky high, and I'm looking at this thing. And it comes down and hits Junior square on the head. And it's sticking straight up out of his head. He didn't scream, cry. Hell, I would have probably run off passed out. He turns around, and he's at his house, and this kid takes off running. Junior reaches down and picks up a brick that his dad had been landscaping with. You know, you cut the bricks in half. So it's just half a brick. He picks that brick up, and he throws it at this kid and clobbers this kid in the back of the head with it. I mean, it ricochets for 50 feet off this kid's head. And he reaches up and pulls that lawn dart out of his head. I mean, he doesn't say, ow, that hurt, nothing. It's like, boom, in the head. It's like, oh, shit. And he just reaches down, picks up this brick, plow, hits this motherfucker. But he would fight anybody. The stories I could tell y'all about Junior Tibbs. Crazy ass shit this dude did, man. And like I said, just wiry, but was a fighter. One day, this school that we did not like, we were mortal enemies with this other school. They were preppy as a Christian school. Their quarterback, a prima donna, pretty boy, You know, he was built, worked out, athletic, did everything, basketball, track, football. He was the star quarterback of this team. One night, it was at Strike and Spare Bowling Alley. He sucker punched one of our friends, and he had on his class ring, and it fucked him up pretty good. But the kid was sitting on the back of a truck, and they were drinking, having a good time, and this guy goes up and sucker punches him from behind, right in the face. And so Junior had made it a mission to get this motherfucker, right? I never forget talking to my ex-father-in-law. And my ex-father-in-law, we were talking about it for some reason, and this is back when I was just dating his daughter, who I would eventually marry. But we were talking about that, and he said he knew Junior well because Junior was my best friend. And he's like, Junior would have no chance against this guy. Look at this guy. He's built, he's this and that. And I said, I'm telling you, if they ever hook up, Junior will beat that ass. You're crazy. Look at this kid. He does this, track, all that. He's big, blah, blah, blah. I said, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Junior is in the business of fighting, and there's a difference. There's a difference. An athlete and a fighter, there's a difference. Sure enough, one night it happened. We were all, me, Billy, you remember the guy I told you years ago, he passed away. He was the greatest friend I ever had. Him and I, my brother, and Junior were driving around. And in this parking lot's all these cars from this school that we hated. And there's the kid right there that sucker punched our friend. And Junior's like, hey, there he is over there. And I'm thinking, fuck, there's like 60 of them. And we're mortal enemies now. They had their place, we had ours. Junior said, take me over there. Billy was driving. Take me over there. And so we go over there. Now I'm telling you, Junior was little, wiry. I mean, skinny. Gets out, calls dude out, dude stands up, and Junior whipped his ass in maybe 15 seconds. It was the worst beating I've ever seen given to somebody. And while dude was on his knees, Junior was steady punching him in the face. And he points at his face and he said, don't you ever fuck with one of my friends again. Do you understand me? And the kid said, yes, sir. Now they're same age. Yes, sir. He beat that boy so bad, dude thought he was getting beat by an adult. Because Junior was about the business of fighting. There is a difference. There is a difference. We are about the business of fighting here on the workroom floor. That's what this podcast is all about. To educate, to train up fighters. You don't have to come on to shows talking about how great you are. If in fact you're great, others will do that for you. You don't have to get on things and talk about all the great things you have done if you sat the fucking fight out. The fighters fight, right? If you have sat those fights out and you've not done a fucking thing, don't come to us now and say, hey, look here, how fucking great I am. Look at all the things I've done. It doesn't matter how great you are, all the things you've done. If you missed out on the fucking fight, if you're hiding during the fight, it doesn't fucking matter. I want motherfuckers who fight. Period. Like I've always said, I don't give a fuck who you are. I don't give a damn what you look like, who you worship, who you love, how you vote, who you vote for. I don't give a fuck about all that, all this shit going on. I don't care about any of that shit. I care about one thing and one thing only. When it come time to get funky, will you do that or not? If you don't, I don't want anything to do with you. Period. I don't care how great you are. If during the biggest fight of our lives, You sat it out and hid because you're scared to come out against this motherfucker at the top. That's all we've been doing. And now all these people coming out now. Look at me. Look at us. Look at what we can do. Fuck off. Fuck you. That's all I can say. We're about the business of fighting. That's the business that we're in. Okay? And so, what got me off on that? Y'all remember? Something did. Fuck. But anyway, you're going to see a lot more of that shit coming out. Okay? You're going to see a lot more of these motherfuckers coming out trying to put a slate together. They're going to tell y'all how fucking great they are and have let this motherfucker run roughshod on y'all for 3 years. But you're going to have them run coming out of the woodwork now because motherfuckers are peeking out of the closet. Is the fight over? Is it possible to win now? We can beat the incumbent. Look at this slate we're putting together now of experienced individuals that are experienced at national, that understand the processes. And the CLC has a slate that they're not experienced. The motherfuckers are experienced at what it counts for, fighting. That's what the CLC is experienced at, fighting. That's the business we're in, right? We're not experienced in kissing a motherfucker's ass like a lot of these business agents. We're not experienced in putting the union above the city letter carrier, which is what all of them are experienced in, right? We're experienced in putting the city letter carrier first, educating those city letter carriers, shop stewards, Formal A's, to do one thing and one thing only, fight. That's what we're going to do. That's what we've been doing. And you got motherfuckers coming out, look at us, look at me, fuck off. I'm going to read this here. Very interesting. Very interesting. Bill to Fighting NALC, I put it out there the other day about a survey they did for the contract. And the results came out, very interesting. Is almost 2,000 NALC members were surveyed. Pretty good survey for a podcast to come up with. Members from 917 branches. The average seniority of the surveyed, 10.5 years. That's pretty good time, right? 78% made commitments to the contract campaign. And here's the results. You got strongly disagree, neutral, agree, strongly agree. And I'll just go down this list. 6 years to reach top step. 6 years to reach top step. 160 strongly disagree that was important. 188 disagree, or 188 were neutral. 283 agree. 1,083 strongly agree that 6 years to reach top step. $30 an hour starting wage for new hires. 249 were neutral. 355 agree. 967 strongly agree for a $30 an hour starting wage. Hire direct to PTF. Convert existing CCAs to career status. 155 were neutral. 388 agree. 1,161 strongly agree. Full colas for all carriers, not a diet cola. 162 agree. 1,563 strongly agree. And that's the top one right there, is a full cola for all carriers. Increase USPS contributions to health insurance. 288 strongly agree, 1,359 strongly agree. So 288 agree, 1,359 strongly agree. Increase USPS contributions to health insurance. I'm going to have Charlie Miller come on maybe next week. I may tie that in with my episode. May have him come on and talk to y'all about that. he's going to talk to y'all about several things, okay? But that's going to be one of the things specifically, all right? So we can kind of snuff that out, okay? No concessions on working conditions. 217 were neutral. 309 agree. 1,163 strongly agree. And the reason it's taking me so long is it's on my phone. Y'all know I'm blind as shit. So I can't see these numbers hardly because my glasses are dirty. I'm blind as fuck. In mandatory overtime, 346 are neutral. 340 agree. 994 strongly agree. Strengthen protections against management abuse. 205 agree. 1,532 strongly agree. And we'll talk about that. The right to strike. 259 are neutral. 291 agree. 1,118 strongly agree. Increased training for new and existing employees. 184 are neutral. 429 agree. And 1,136 strongly agree. And that's increased training for new and existing employees. Increased quality of service to the public. 300 agree, 1,386 strongly agree. And now you had strongly disagree on some, but it doesn't have the numbers. And then you have disagree on some, but it doesn't have those numbers because they were too small. And it just didn't come up on this, okay? So that's interesting. That's interesting. The top ones, full COLAs. Now this is almost 2,000 surveyed, about 10 and a half years, full COLAs, and strengthen protections against management abuse. And I said this when we talked about the dogs of war. James Henry and I have talked about this extensively, about the dogs of war, about the toxic working environment. How are you going to control that? And I've always said that's going to be a priority of ours day one. It's a priority. Matter of fact, Paul Bolanger's already getting the training ready. And so when we win, he'll be reaching out to those to get them scheduled for training. And I want them on the floor as soon as possible when we take over. I want those teams going in there. How do you do that? You know, how do you control the workroom floor? The toxic working environment. We've been doing it for so long. We've tried for so long. What can you do differently to take over the workroom floor? What do we have in our arsenal to go after the toxic working environment? And we know how to do it, and we will do it, okay? But James and I and Kamitra will have an episode. We're going to talk to y'all about the things we're going to do and how we're going to do it, implementing things, okay? And that will come out soon. I imagine that'll come out within the next month. And because you're going to start seeing a lot more, like I said, of the CLC and game plans. Who are we? Okay? Are we just a lot of talk? Or are we going to give y'all actual game plans on how we're going to accomplish the things that we're going after? Okay? And so those things will be coming out, and it'll give a lot of y'all relief to hear about the game plans. I mean, it's real shit, okay? It's real shit. And James Henry is a fantastic motivator and educator. And he is demanding, which I love. I don't like laziness. I hate it. And when we get in there, it's going to be 1,000 miles an hour, which is what I want, okay? And so there you have it. I'm going to talk about one more thing, and then I'll be done. And I'm going to read these sites. But I've told y'all that the establishment hates me. They despise me. And all of them do. All of them know me. They've heard of me. They listen to me. And they despise me. And their minions are out. They're after me. I don't give a fuck what anybody says about me. Motherfucker don't pay my bills. I don't give two shits what you say about me if you like me or not. Okay? And that's just, I've always been that way. Maybe it's because I worked at the jail and you can't call me anything. I wasn't called up there. And, but they don't like me. They do not like me. And they'll start talking about me more and more, which is flattering. which is flattering. But you had a fucking clown go in. You're going to see a lot of them doing these installation of officers now. And you had this clown go in, a resident officer, and he starts talking to individuals. They start asking questions about different things. And one of the things was about the DRT. And I've expressed my disdain for this. It's one of the biggest things I bitch about. But they ask about the DRT, and this individual says, yes, the DRT is broken. The DRT is broken. And it's broken because it has been hijacked. And I'm thinking, finally, a motherfucker gonna come out and say the obvious. Then the motherfucker said this: it's been hijacked by both parties. It's been hijacked by both parties. The union has hijacked the DRT by requesting escalated remedies and have made it impossible to settle at the DRT. Because, now this is the reasoning, because if you ask for and receive an escalated monetary award of $50, then that sets precedent and it should never go above $50. And so when the union comes in after management continues to violate the same contractual provision over and over and over and fucking over again, if you come in later and say, hey, the $50 now should be raised to $75, that is a violation of Article 15 because precedent has set it at 50. That is us. That's the union's position at the highest fucking level. That's what they're selling us, your union. You've got a dumb motherfucker going around to different installations, installing officers, then talking to people, telling them that we are part of the problem of the DRT because we expect management to comply with prior grievance settlements. And when we ask for an escalated monetary award, we're hijacking the DRT process. That's your union. That's what's being said. Look. And then start talking about me, which is fine. Like I said, y'all can kiss the entirety of this motherfucking ass at any time. You can call me, come see me, talk to me, and we'll address it. Okay? The one thing when we take over that you will never hear, ever, is that it's our fault. Is that it's our fault that management refuses to abide by fucking prior grievance settlements. It will never be our fault that management refuses to educate them fucking selves. It will never be our fault. I told you management has punked us out at the top. All of them, even business agents, have been punked the fuck out by labor. Now you've got a resident officer going around telling y'all that yes, the DRT is broken. It's been hijacked by both parties. Let me ask you something. If the Formula settlement states, due to management's ongoing or egregious violations or whatever, both parties have agreed to pay the affected carriers $50 apiece for an incentive for future compliance. If we say that, and then we say, if the violations continue, management may, or whatever, pay an additional monetary award. If the DRT adopts some similar language, and arbitrators do the same, how is it that we have hijacked the DRT process? If both parties are telling you that due to management's egregious violations of this contractual provision, An escalated monetary is warranted. And if management fails to correct the situation, they may or will pay an escalated monetary award in the future. How is it that we have hijacked the DRT process? How is it ever our fault that management refuses to abide by the agreement? How is that ever our fault? The double standard is fucking over the city letter carrier. How is that our fault? I'm going to read some sites to you. Crazy ass shit. And I want you to tell me, how is it our fault? Better yet, tell me this. What shall we do? What should we do? What should we do to force management into compliance on the joint contract? Joint contract, that means both of us have agreed to this. Administration manual, how it's going to be administered to both parties. They've jointly come into an agreement. Now, if management continues to violate something that we jointly came into an agreement of, what is our remedy? What shall we do? And that's the question I need answered. What shall we do if management refuses to abide by the agreement? And not just that, but they egregiously intentionally violate the agreement. What should we do? There is a new day coming. There's a new day coming when the CLC takes over. This shit will not be heard of. You will never hear me say that the union has participated in hijacking the process because management continues to egregiously and intentionally violate the agreement. I will never say that. There's a decision where an arbitrator tells you what to do. Very good decision. I'm going to read that. But management is responsible for management. I'm not. I can come into an agreement with management that they are going to cease and desist something. I can come into that agreement, but I don't have control over that. I don't have control over management. I can tell management to stop. I can go in tomorrow and say, hey, y'all need to stop violating the contract. And they'll laugh at me. Who are you? You're the union. Get the fuck out of here. That's the power I have, right? We can come into an agreement locally at the informal that management will stop. We can come into an agreement at the formal A that management will stop. We can come into an agreement at the DRT that management will stop. We can come into an arbitration setting where an arbitrator will tell management to stop. Do you know who's going to make management stop? It's management. None of these things will make management stop. Now, I'm going to also read a decision where an arbitrator tells you exactly what's going to happen if you don't. Okay? Management is ultimately responsible for management. Upper management must get involved to correct their subordinates. That's how you're going to remedy things. That's when I talk about dogs of war. People are like, well, we've been trying that for years. You get upper management involved. You make it to where they want to get involved. When you continue to drag them into arbitration, to answer for their subordinates, when things are put in front of them, this is the history of this individual. Why is it that when we brought this to your attention, you did not correct the situation? And you cannot say, I attempted to, because you're the boss. If you attempted to, then you don't need to be the boss. If you wanted it corrected, it would be corrected, and we hold them accountable like we did in Memphis, right? It's ultimately management that needs to address management. We can do all these things. It's management that needs to address management. Now, how do we get management interested in addressing management? Through an escalated monetary award. That's how you get them interested. You have your resident officers going places saying that us doing that, us trying to attempt to make management address their own, is us hijacking the process. It's our fault for attempting to get management to curb what they're doing. to correct what they're doing. And that is the sickness that has taken over this fucking union, is that management has come to them and they said, look, we're broke, man. We're running out of money, and we probably won't even be around in a year or two. And we're losing Amazon, and we're doing this, and we're doing that. And you got business agents trumpeting this shit. We've lost $9 billion. We've lost this here. Listen to me, brother. Hold up just a second. I get that. I don't care. I don't fucking care. There is an agreement that we came into, and I expect you to abide by that agreement. If you don't, we're going to do everything humanly possible to make you. Period. If you are broke, if you're this fucking broke, people should be losing their fucking jobs because of losing this money. Since they are not, you're not too fucking broke. Period. But what I'm going to do as a representative, as an agent to the city letter carrier, what I'm going to do is I'm going to force you into compliance. I'm going to force you to comply with the Joint Contract Administration Manual, the things that we sat down together and came up with. I will force you to do that. Why? Because it's an agreement between me and you. And it will never be the city letter carrier's fault that your managers don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. It will never be our fucking fault. As the agent, I'm going to represent light blue, baby. You can come to me with all this woe is me, all these problems that y'all are having. I appreciate it and I understand it. I don't give a fuck about it. Why? I care about the city letter carrier. Only. And when you egregiously violate things, intentionally violate things, baby, I will be here. I will be here to correct it. And that's my job as the agent. That's my job. But then you had the president of this local branch, with this clown-ass motherfucker, got up there and said that. Just kissing Renfro's fucking ass. Just telling his members, hey, look, if it wasn't, this is the honest to God's truth, this was said now. If it wasn't for Renfro, the post office wouldn't even be around today. That's what this motherfucker was saying. If it wasn't for Renfro, the PO wouldn't even be around today. So this motherfucker has given him legendary status. Renfro's so strong, this motherfucker is stronger than the United States Constitution. That's how strong this motherfucker is to this president. Can you believe that shit? Telling people, hey, look, I know these people are after him, but if it wasn't for him, post office wouldn't be around. I've heard of kissing a motherfucker's ass before. I've heard of that. And there's been a lot of it going on by these business agents and others, kissing this motherfucker's ass. I didn't know that it was possible to kiss a motherfucker's ass so much that you got your tonsils up in that motherfucker's ass, you kissing it so hard. There has to be some kind of medical condition. Surely, if I look that up, if I Google that, tonsils in the ass, there has to be a medical condition that covers that. This president has accomplished something I never thought could be accomplished. To kiss a motherfucker's ass so much that your tonsils are up in that motherfucker. That's this president. He's got tonsillitis. He's got his fucking tonsils up in Renfro's ass, kissing that motherfucker so deep. To say a motherfucker who has fucked us over more than anything management has ever done, that if it wasn't for him, the PO post office wouldn't even be here. Motherfuck. What in the fuck is he drinking? Motherfucker gotta be high. He gotta be smoking something to come up with that shit. What good does all these fucking laws do? What good does it do if you've got a cowardly bitch-ass president who sells the members out? Ask a motherfucker that. On the TA. The one thing, the largest responsibility you have as the president is that collective bargaining. That's it. That's numero uno. And look at what he did there. Strung us out 700 fucking days. We vote the motherfucker down and he shoves it up our ass anyway. And you're going to say if it wasn't for him, the post office wouldn't be here? Motherfucker has fucked us over. Who gives a fuck about any legislation being passed if you got this motherfucker at the top? Holy, we can pass all the legislation we want. If you got a motherfucker that dangerous at the top that has intentionally fucked over the city letter carrier, don't come to me with any of that bullshit. Don't come to me with any of that bullshit about what he's fucking done. Don't care. Don't give a fuck. The one thing he's responsible for, he fucked us over. Shit. This motherfucker's yodeling in his ass. Gonna talk about it. Gonna talk about oh shit. Hey, look. That got me there. I'm gonna read some sites to you about escalated monetary awards. Okay? If you look up on the database, arbitration database, remedies, monetary damages, if you look that up, there's 1,179 decisions total under remedies, monetary damages. Sustained out of 1,179, 894 have been sustained. That's how successful we are. 73 have been denied. So 894 have been sustained, 73 denied. Modified 187. Now you look up key cases. When you look up key cases, those are the ones that the NEOC has said these are the ones that are best representative, that if I was to pick a case, this would be one of the best ones. That's key cases. 178 key cases. So you got 73 denied. I've got over double that in just key cases for us. If you look up progressive remedies, that's escalated monetary award. Progressive remedies, 205. 205. 151 sustained, 25 denied. So who's kicking whose ass when we talk about escalated monetary award or monetary damages? We are kicking their ass in arbitration. You got 25 denied. If you look up key cases, there's 30. So we got more key cases there than they do wins. That's just a little something. So in arbitration, we're kicking the shit out of management on escalated monetary awards. That's why they had to convince your union to side with them and have us stop. When they say escalated monetary awards, look, we're hijacking the process. We're not hijacking it. We're doing what arbitrators have agreed with us we could do. Arbitrators have agreed with that. Now you got management coming in saying we're no longer going to pay an escalated monetary award. Even if the B team decisions have stated in the past that this is what you're going to get, we're no longer going to do that. I've talked with numerous individuals across the country about this. They say, hey, my B team decisions, we've always gotten $200. They bumped it down to $100. We've always gotten cease and desist. Now they say shall comply. So I'm losing out on my escalated monetary awards that I have been getting. Not trying to escalate that, but what I have been getting. And they've also taken the cease and desist away and given us shall comply. So whoever this dumb fuck is that's going around saying we've hijacked it, fuck you. Fuck you. Because now they're taking away what we already had. When you talk about they set precedent. No, they don't set precedent, you motherfucker, because they're going back on that. We can't even get shit we had precedent set for. Going around with your dumb ass kissing management's ass, fucking the city letter carrier over. Because do you know who it is that's getting compensated? Who's getting fucked over when management continuously violates the contract over and over and over and over and fucking over again. Do you know who it is that's getting fucked over? Not the union, bitch. It's the city letter carrier. That's who. It's not management. They're the motherfuckers violating the contract. It's the city letter carrier. You motherfuckers that took y'all too fucking long to realize it, now y'all gonna lose your fucking job because of it. Don't blame me, bitch. Blame yourself. And all these business agents that are fixing to lose their fucking job, blame yourselves. Don't blame a podcaster. You motherfuckers have fucked us over. You turn your back on us. You work for us. We don't work for you. You don't work for Renfro. You work for us. Now you done lost your fucking job and you want to woe us me. Start blaming motherfuckers. I tell you who to blame. Get your fat ass up out of your chair, go into the bathroom, look in the fucking mirror, and blame that motherfucker. That's who you do. Shit. But, you know, it's time. It's time for a fresh start in this motherfucker. For street fighters. The motherfuckers that they want to fight, know how to fight, and don't just tell you how they fight. Now that they peeked out of the fucking closet and say, damn, these motherfuckers been raising hell for 3 years. Renfro's gone. Shit, here I come, motherfuckers. I'm here to save the day. The Warriors have come back into town, and you want to go stand on the fucking stage with them. Hey, when y'all throwing these rose petals, hit me with some too. I wasn't in the fight with them, but I'm here now. I'm here now, and I'm great. I've got this fucking resume of national shit. Here I am. Look at me. Fuck off. All right, here's these sites. What arbitrators have thought about the escalated monetary award. And anytime you talk about an escalated monetary award, you will always throw in M1967. M1967, remember that's that federal court decision. Y'all should be putting it in every file for an escalated monetary award. And also C34197. 34197, that's the arbitration decision that prompted M1967. And that's Arbitrator Roberts out of Kingsport. I talk about that on episode 29, way back when, episode 29. But M1967, that's the federal court's decision where they said, yes, you can ask for an escalated monetary award. Management is not protected under all these different things they want to talk about, sovereign immunity and all this shit. And C34197, that's the decision, so make sure that you put both those in there in your file. But I'm going to read some decisions to you to support my position. We're in arbitration now, right? But to support my position to y'all, the arbitrator, on why we should be granted an escalated monetary award. Because at the end of the day, what do we do? What do we do? We can file grievances. That's the only avenue that we have. We can file grievances and pray and hope that management abides by the grievance settlement that they signed off on. At the formal, we can only cross our fingers and hope that these motherfuckers didn't just sign something and are lying to us. At the DRT, we can only hope and pray that the motherfuckers didn't just sign off on something and have no intention of complying. The only avenue we have is the grievance procedure. That's it. We must rely on management to manage themselves. We must. It will never, ever, ever be our fault. At any time ever will it be our fault to trying to hold management accountable to abide by the national agreement. Okay? Here's the decision. And I'm going to read these. They're going to kind of fall in line. You're going to see what I'm talking about because we're in arbitration here. The remaining issue is the union's request for double time pay to the grievance for the overtime worked or other appropriate remedy. Two remedy issues were raised by the arguments and evidence. First, what are the remedial powers authority of the arbitrator under the agreement? Second, if the arbitrator's authority includes awarding double overtime pay or other remedies, what is an appropriate remedy under all the circumstances of this case? The union, as noted above in position of parties, provided substantial authority in support of its position. Until the arbitration hearing, the employer merely asserted that this remedy was inappropriate or that the agreement was correctly paid for any overtime worked. At the arbitration hearing, for the first time, the USPS presented several arguments and agreement authorities as noted above in the USPS position. Essentially, these arguments were that Article 15, Section 4A prohibited arbitrators from awarding double time pay unless the situation fell within the situation stated in Article 8, Section 5F. The USPS representative asserted that arbitration awards under the agreement supported this position. This arbitrator requested copies of these awards, especially any where double time was requested and denied. And I'll tell you something, if y'all are looking for a fantastic decision on new argument at arbitration, this is it. She blisters management, okay? But we'll get into that in just a second. Where agreements are paid 1 1/2 time, the arbitrator granted USPS the time it requested to provide these awards. So management saying, hey, we got these awards where they did grant this time. She said, I'll give you time to give them to me. No awards were provided by the U.S. to the arbitrator. So, that's beautiful. They're saying, hey, arbitrators have granted that before. She called their bluff. Really? Provide me with those decisions. That's what she says. The arbitrator granted USPS the time it requested to provide these awards. No awards were provided by the USPS to the arbitrator. Rather, the USPS submission stated that no cases were found where arbitrators used double pay as a remedy. So they're telling her, hey, there's all these decisions where they didn't grant it. She said, give them to me. They said there's not any because they didn't grant it. Okay, so the agreements are paid the applicable rate required by Article 8 of the National Agreement. In contrast, the union has presented a number of arbitration awards in support of its position. First, the USPS position is denied for the various reasons stated in discussion, Section 8, for the first presenting its facts, arguments, and authorities at the arbitration hearing. As a second independent ground, it is well established under the agreement that monetary compensation is appropriate when failure to provide employee or employees with contractual opportunities or benefits was caused, as in this case, by a flagrant disregard or defiance of contractual obligations, or repeated same or similar contractual violations. The powers of arbitrators to provide for appropriate remedy for violations of the agreement are clearly within the inherent powers of arbitrators when no specific provisions of the agreement define the nature and extent of the arbitrator's power. Generally, arbitrators rule that their appointment includes an implicit power to specify appropriate remedy or remedies. The United States Supreme Court has made it very clear that broad remedial power resides in arbitrators. The need for such broad power has generally been recognized by the federal courts, which usually have held that, in the absence of restrictive language in a collective bargaining agreement, the arbitrator has power to fashion a remedy appropriate to the case before the arbitrator. See Steelworkers v. Enterprise Wheel and CarCorp. One of the Steelworkers Trilogy cases. There is the need for flexibility in meeting a wide variety of the situations. The drafters of the agreement may have never thought about what particular remedy or remedies should be awarded to meet a particular contingency. For a fuller discussion of these principles, see Remedies in Arbitration, 1981, Chapter 2, Sources of Remedial Authority, pages 7 through 39, Hill and Sinacopri. Practice and Procedure in Labor Arbitration. Article 15.4a.6 of the agreement states, all decisions of arbitrators shall be limited to the terms and provisions of this agreement, and in no event may the terms and provisions of this agreement be altered, amended, or modified by an arbitrator. This arbitrator finds that this provision in this case would not allow this arbitrator to create a continuing right to double pay overtime for future similar situations. However, It does not prohibit a double time paid to remedy flagrant contractual violations. See, for example, Gamzer Award above. In the 1979 Gamzer National Award above, a monetary award was granted for a lost overtime opportunity when the contract provisions only included provisions allowing an opportunity for overtime. In the 1983 Eaton Award, 4 hours pay at the regular rate was awarded to the employees who were not solicited to volunteer for holiday work. This was done even though the parties had provided for specific and numerous remedies for violations of the holiday article, but had provided none for this violation. Eaton applied the common law maxim, there is no right without a remedy. In 1984 Eaton Award above, 15 hours pay at overtime rate for repeated violations of posting requirements. 1983 Dabrowski Award above, pay additional 50% for the design holiday and grievant was forced worker excusing her from the next mandatory holiday if she does not want to work. Bowles and Haber Awards, Union Exhibit numbers 8 and 9 above. USPS reimbursed grievant for doctor's certification stating the grievance incapacity to work even though non-contractual provision provided for this monetary payment. June 29, 1981 Elliott H. Goldstein Award, Union Exhibit 10, 1 1/2 time premium pay for all hours worked under an improper work assignment. Without clear evidence in this record that the parties anticipated some way to make whole the 3 grievants who have been harmed by clear and repeated breaches of the agreement, some monetary award is needed for the grievance. Unlike the Gamzer Award, no restructuring of future opportunities or equalization formula applies here. In this case, the 3 grievants have been required to work overtime they should not have worked. No possible future remedy can return this time to them. Moreover, it would be an insufficient remedy here merely to instruct the MSC not to breach the agreement in the future. This remedy will make the grievance as whole as possible at this time. The employer is ordered to pay Hawkins, Bornhuter, and Ruggio 1 extra hour's pay at the regular rate of pay for each and every day for the periods indicating immediately above that each grievant has worked overtime until the result of their special route inspections are implemented. If the arbitrator has the power to so direct, these monies shall be paid from the MSC budget rather than the Kenosha installation budget. All right? So she said, obviously this is a 6-day count. You're going to pay them an extra hour a day. Okay? At 1 extra hour's pay at the regular rate of pay for each day and every day for the periods indicated immediately above that each grievant has worked overtime until the results of the special route inspection. So they probably got a shit ton of money. Do you know when that was? That decision went over why the escalated monetary award is sufficient under breaches of contract, continual breaches of the contract. Do you know when that decision was rendered? 1986. 1986 is when that decision was rendered. All those years ago, they got it. That's C5545, A and B. C5545. And that's arbitrator Pribble. 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 Arbitrator Pribble. 5545. 1986. Going back that far, we've been dealing with management failing to comply with signed grievance settlements, continued violations of the contract, the same arguments by management then as they make now. The arbitrator doesn't have the authority, right? Windfall. The contract doesn't call for it. And it's the same arguments we use now. Yes, you do. The Supreme Court held that you can. Arbitrator Gamzer, National Arbitrator Menthol, National Arbitrator Snow. Now you got this federal court decision. 1986. We've been dealing with it. 1,100 fucking arbitrations dealing with it. We've been highly successful. And now all of a sudden, somehow, it's our fault. We're at fault as well as management. We have helped hijack the DRT because we are the ones asking for an escalated monetary award, because we are the ones who are supposed to police management as well as ourselves. We are the ones who are supposed to police the contract, the city letter care, and management. It's our responsibility as the union to do that. And so we will say that we have hijacked the grievance procedure with management. That's how much management has their foot in our ass at the national level. Not only do we go in places and talk about no longer doing a cease and desist, no longer an escalated monetary war because of the piece of the pie, no longer is it that. Now it's also we have helped hijack the DRT. That's how far we have fucking fallen. Here's another case. C32740, 32740, and this is arbitrator Armendariz, okay? Arbitrator Armendariz. And your next president, James Henry, was the advocate for this one. This one's in 2016. I want you to listen to this. And this is what pisses me off. This is what I'm talking about. When they say that we have hijacked the grievance procedure with management. Here's part of it on page 4. Union argues there exists an extensive history of Article 8 violations in the Stockton installation with over 700 grievances filed over this same issue, including arbitration decisions, increasing the remedies for affected employees after repeated violations. I want you to tell me again, how in the fuck is it our fault that management can't fucking manage themselves? How is it we have hijacked the DRT? This case alone, 700 grievances filed over the same issue, including arbitration decisions, increasing the remedies for affected employees after repeated violations, and that is our fault, according to the resident officer going around this fucking country. And you know what he says? Corey's just bitter, trying to burn shit down. That's what he said. Corey's just trying to burn shit down. You fucking ain't right, I am. Because you motherfuckers have failed us. You have failed us. Going in there and telling people the union has hijacked the DRT for asking for escalated monetary awards. I'll give you this one right here, bitch. Union argues there exists an extensive history of Article 8 violations in the Stockton installation with over 700 grievances filed. You take those 700 grievances. I want you to print every single one of them out. All 700. And I want you to roll those motherfuckers up as tight as your little bitch ass can and shove them up your fucking ass talking about we're the ones who hijacked this motherfucker. You're fucking crazy as fuck. You've lost your fucking mind. We've hijacked it. Well, because if we go by the DRT, Article 15, that first remedy should be in precedent setting. You don't understand a fucking thing about egregious, willful, or wanton. You don't understand shit about that. Deliberate, intentional. You don't understand a fucking thing about how it works, brother. If your position is, we've helped hijack it because we continue to escalate remedies. What would you have us do, motherfucker? Did you say that? Did you say what the remedy is then? What's your position on what we're going to make them do to come into compliance? Did you say that? Or you just run around saying stupid shit? Here's the discussion. And I want you to listen to this shit now. Going back to this dumb fuck going around saying that we've helped hijack this motherfucker. In contract issue cases, the burden of proof rests on the union. This arbitrator finds the union has met its burden of proof and is not persuaded by the service's position in this matter. The grievance involved the mandated overtime for 3 work assignment list carriers who were mandated to work their designated holiday, and 1 work assignment list carrier who volunteered to work his non-scheduled day under the holiday scheduling provisions of Article 11. All 3 carriers are mandated to work beyond 8 hours, despite the fact the OTDL carriers and CCAs were available to perform this work at the overtime rate. Article 11 applies to work under 8 hours, and Article 8 applies to work beyond 8 hours. This arbitrator finds this is a repetitive, contractual issue the service continues to violate. Now let me ask you something. What would you have us do, Mr. Resident Officer? What would you have us do in those circumstances? Is it just a case of 700 cases, 800 cases, 900 cases, 1,000 cases of must comply? Just an endless amount of kicking the can down the road of must comply. Is that your resolution? Is that what you're telling us? You're not giving us anything to go on. All you're saying is that we are contributed in hijacking the DRT because we're asking for an escalated monetary reward, because we're trying to get management to do anything to comply with the fucking agreement. I know this. They're not going to allow me to miss 700 express mails. They're not going to allow me to miss 700 MSP scans or SPM scans. They're not going to allow me to miss 700 fucking days. They're not going to allow me to have 700 fucking accidents, 700 slipping, trips and falls. They're not going to allow that shit. They're not. I imagine they're probably going to allow me about 4. And I'm out the fucking door. Hell, it's not even 4 now. They're giving us 14 days for shit that normally would carry a fucking discussion. Anyway, this arbitrator finds this is a repetitive contractual issue the service continues to violate. According to the union, they have filed in excess of 700 grievances. In 2008, the remedy for improper mandated overtime was 50%. Now, if you tell me to cease and desist, right, at 50%, if you say a cease and desist, do you know what should never go above 50%? A remedy. Because you've given me a cease and desist. That means stop and don't do it any longer. So if management complies with that initial 50%, do you know what you will never see? Anything over 50%? Because management has done what we've told them to do. They have ceased and desisted. They have stopped and not done it any longer. You should never see anything above 50%. But do you know what happens? They don't abide by their own decisions. They don't care. They don't give a fuck. In 2009 and 2010, the remedy increased to 150% for improperly mandated carriers. In 2011, the remedy increased to 350% for improperly mandated carriers, and appropriate remedy plus 100% to the available carriers, plus $100 paid to the union for not consulting. In November 2011, the remedy increased to 450% for the improperly mandated carriers, and appropriate rated plus 200% to the available carriers, and the same remedy is applied to all grievances throughout 2012. So in 2011, it was raised to 450%, and we kept that there through 2012, hoping that they would come into compliance. Now in 2013, the rate increased to 500%, and 250% to the bypassed assisters, and continued into 2014, so we gave them 2 years again. Recently, the remedy has increased to 550% and 300% in hopes this would stop the continuing violations. Did you hear that, resident officer? In hopes this would stop the continuing violations. The union also provided 2 arbitrable decisions where the service violated Article 8 on November 18th of 2011 in the case number there. Jonathan Monat did that one. Awarded the mandated carrier to be paid the time worked over 8 hours, an additional 450%. It started out at 50%, right? It started out at 50%. Now here we are at 450% and 550% of the base rate and the available carrier, their appropriate rate of pay, plus an additional 200%. And that is, according to the resident officer, our fault. That's where we're at. According to this resident officer, that's our fault that management refuses to comply. On September 6, 2013, arbitrator Claude Dawson Ames, in this case, stated, the appropriate remedy for management admitted Article 8 violations is a 500% increased monetary premium for non-ODL carriers and a 250% premium for those carriers who are bypassed by management at the Stockton West Lane station. Management's continued Article 8 violations shall result hereinafter in greater monetary awards unless it ceases and desists from further violations and begins to adhere to the national agreement. The union's grievance remedy is sustained in part and denied in part. I'm going to read that again. And this is for that dumb fuck going around saying that we are the ones who have hijacked the DRT because we're asking for an escalated monetary award. The appropriate remedy, now this is an arbitrator, this is not me. The appropriate remedy for management admitted Article 8 violations is a 500% increased monetary premium. Now remember, it started at 50. And according to this resident officer, it should have stayed at 50. It's worked its way up to 500. Do you know why? Because management won't comply. They refuse to. They're not going to. Increased monetary premium for non-ODL carriers and a 250% premium for those carriers who were bypassed by management at the Stockton West Lane station. Management's continued Article 8 violations. Do you know what that means? That it's happened more than once. We gave them a cease and desist, but yet it continues. Do you know why it continues? Because they're not going to comply. Do you know the only avenue we have to bring management into compliance? It's the grievance procedure. And it's called an escalated monetary award or an incentive for future compliance. Do you know why? Because we want them to comply. We don't want 500%. We want compliance of the contract. Do you know how much they would be paying us if they complied? Nothing. Do you know how much they would be out? Nothing. It wouldn't be 1%. Now it's up to 500%. Do you know why? Because they don't comply. And they lie to us. And they steal. And it's our fault. We're hijacking the system. Because management won't comply. And in so doing, the union has been forced to hijack the DRT process, according to this dumb fuck resident officer. I'll keep on. Management continued Article 8 violations shall result hereinafter in greater monetary awards unless it ceases and desists from further violations and begins to adhere to the national agreement. My God, how novel of an idea. Unless it ceases and desists from further violations and begins to adhere to the national agreement. What a fucking novel idea. That would be so nice. It is this arbitrator's opinion the service has violated Article 8. And he quotes page 4115, which is what we do. In circumstances where the violation is egregious or deliberate or after local management has received previous instructional resolutions on the same issue, and it appears that a cease and desist remedy is not sufficient to ensure future contract compliance, the parties may wish to consider a further appropriate compensatory remedy to the injured party to emphasize the commitment of the parties to contract compliance. M1517 further states, compliance with arbitrations awards and grievance settlement is not optional. It is optional to this clown-ass motherfucker going around to these installations. It is optional. You know why? Because when we try to hold them accountable to that, to the signed grievance settlement, when we try to hold them accountable through an escalated monetary award, we're hijacking the DRT process. We're hijacking the B team when we ask for an escalated monetary award, because management, they shouldn't have to agree to it. They shouldn't have to comply, according to this clown-ass resident officer. Trying to get management to comply is hijacking the DRT process. We shouldn't be asking that of management. We should give them a stern must comply or a stern-ass will comply. And underline that will comply and put it and italicize it and kind of crook it over to the side and highlight it and say, will comply, and put 2 or 3 exclamation points past that and say strongly will comply, and surely that will bring them into compliance. And he goes on to quote 1517, the grievance is sustained, the remedy sought by the union in this grievance is granted, and is so ordered. Okay? And that's 32740. Got another. This is Arbitrator Roberts. This is in Lake Charles. And I've told you I had numerous episodes on Lake Charles when management just wasn't fucking complying. Not going to comply. Just not going to do it. I'm going to read their opening. I'm going to read the decision. I'm just going to read the decision because it's too damn long. I'll be 4 hours. And this is what he says on page 9. He starts on 9. And this is one where they tell him, look, Article 8 violations are going to happen. You know, we're going to do our best. They're going to happen. It's just inevitable that Article 8 violations will happen. That's what they said in their opening statement. And so I go first, and I went to fuck off on that. Because it's contract case, the burden's on me. In their opening statement, they tell them, hey, look, contract violations are going to happen. Article 8 violations are just going to happen. We're not going to continue to pay the union all this money. It's a windfall, blah, blah, blah. And so in my closing, I just went to fuck off on that. And so on page 9, he starts out, however, I do agree with the union in that this case file defines a clear track record of ritualistic and habitual violations of the Article 8.5 language by local management regarding this assignment of overtime. Now, this is case 33023, A and B. It's a great decision. Put it in your files, also for new argument. See 33023, A and B, Arbitrator Roberts. The language of Article 8.5 is straightforward. I realize that mistakes occur, and when that does happen, overtime assignments are made in error. However, those occasions should be the exception rather than ritualistic, habitual, and seemingly predictable. Arbitrator Louise Wolitz on February 14, 2017, in this case, offered a very detailed historical synopsis of Article 8 violations at this facility, and in her discussions, I agree with the following. Now, this was my 4th time or 5th time going to Lake Charles. We had Arbitrator Roberts give a couple of decisions. They pre-arbed some at the doorstep. Then Arbitrator Wolitz gave that landmark decision, and then Arbitrator Roberts came back again. He's quoting Arbitrator Wolitz. Taking full account of the history in Lake Charles of Article 8 violations, DRT cease and desist decisions, pre-arbitration decisions, and arbitration decisions discussed above, and the cease and desist orders issued by DRT teams, settlement agreements, and arbitrators, we find the continued violation of the clear provisions of Article 8, Section 5 by Lake Charles management egregious, knowing, deliberate, and explicable. And do you know whose fault that is? According to your resident officer, it's your fault. It's the union's fault. It's the informals. It's A.J. Bro's fault for continuing to file these, wanting management to comply, and continuing to escalate that remedy. It's his fault. We should have stopped at $50. That surely would have settled this and brought them into compliance. It's our fault. This is what she says. We find the continued violation of the clear provisions of Article 8, Section 5 by Lake Charles management egregious, knowing, deliberate, and explicable. Now, whose fault is that? To y'all. It's upper management's fault. It's the area's fault. For not going in there and cleaning fucking house and putting somebody in there that knows how to abide by the contract. It's their fault and their fault alone. It will never be, ever be our fault. You will never hear me go after a DRT or a Formal A or an informal for escalating a remedy on management because they won't comply. You will hear me celebrate them, acknowledge them for going after management. I don't give a fuck about them saying they're fucking broke like a lot of these bitch-ass business agents do and a lot of these resident officers do. I don't give a fuck about that shit. If you're fucking broke, fire a motherfucker. That's what you do. Fire somebody for this shit. For that shit I just read. The other one I just read. This one I'm fixing to read. Fire motherfuckers. You want to come into compliance? Motherfuckers, send them back to Kraft. Do that. Why did they send that motherfucker back to Kraft? Hell, he kept violating the contract. Oh, shit, I better learn the fucking contract. But they don't give a fuck up at the top. They're the main reason they're doing this shit. For these numbers that they can never meet. Numbers that they will never, ever meet. All these metrics that they will never meet or have to falsify to meet. Opting violations that upper management has said, just send them over here. They're on an opt, don't care, send them over here. It's partly their fault too, but I don't give a fuck. It's not our fault. It's them motherfuckers over there. Where was I? The decisions by DRT teams, pre-arbitration settlement negotiators, and arbitrators are made to be read, studied, understood, and complied with. Send this to this motherfucker going around so that he can put this in the hand of the motherfucker who's got both his feet in his ass. Do that for me. Send this over there to them, okay? Because she's going to say exactly what he should be saying. When they came to him and said, man, we got to quit with these cease and desist and escalated monetary award. Let me read this here to you, brother. Let me see. It sinks in right here. The decisions by DRT teams, pre-arbitration settlement negotiators, arbitrators are made to be read, studied, understood, and complied with. Now, what does that have to do with me? Or my Formal A? Or the DRT for me? Or the informal for me? Or the city letter carriers for me? What does that have to do with us? Nothing. It has 100% to do with y'all's ass. Yet, in the case before us, Lake Charles management has once again acted as though those decisions had never been rendered. This is a shocking violation, not only of Article 8 and Article 15, but of management's clear responsibilities under the National Agreement. According to this resident officer, she's wrong. Arbitrator Roberts is wrong. Monad is wrong. Armendariz is wrong. According to your resident officer, all these arbitrators are wrong. In this case, management acknowledges the clear violation, yet seems to shrug it off. Management's position seems to be that its responsibility is to get the mail delivered safely, which surely is correct, and not to pay serious attention to contractual constraints on scheduling. Management is willing to pay the make-whole penalties attached to proceeding this way, but not any penalties for repeated contractual violations, violations of cease and desist orders, and violations of the rights of the letter carriers under the National Agreement. In doing so, management violates its responsibilities to live up to the bargains it makes in collective bargaining and violates its obligations to the workers under the National Agreement. It weakens the foundation and meaning of a collective bargaining relationship with mutual rights and responsibilities, among the most important of which is living up to its commitments and respecting its agreements, settlements, and arbitration awards. We are not comfortable with ordering compensatory payments to workers of $1,000 each for management's continued violation of the same provisions and of all the agreements to cease and desist the violation. However, it is management that has the power to prevent such an award. I'll read that again. However, it is management that has the power to prevent such an award. And according to your resident officer, she should have said, it is management and the union that has the power to prevent such an award. The union should tell management that we will no longer award a cease and desist. It is the union that should tell management to water down that language to a must comply or shall comply. It is the union that should backtrack on those remedies that they had already received. It is the union that is hijacking this process because management refuses to read and study and learn and comply. It is the union that is responsible for management's actions. So management must tell the union that they can no longer do this because they can't educate themselves. They can't fucking learn. They always will refuse to abide by those decisions because she said that this is deliberate and explicable and egregious and knowing. It's the union's fault because of all that. All it has to do is to prioritize scheduling according to the requirements of Article 8, Section 5, regardless of any difficulty or inconvenience that might entail. That is a responsibility equal to the responsibility of getting the mail delivered safely and timely. The union has few means with which to force management to adhere to its responsibilities to which it has repeatedly agreed. The union's remedy is raising the cost of failing to comply to an amount that will be noticed, so that the failure to comply with Article 8, Section 5, and Article 15 will cease. It is an amount that management cannot responsibly shrug off. It is the only weapon the union has to enforce its rights under the collective bargaining agreement. Amounts from $300 to $900 have failed to get management's attention and compliance. Orders to cease and desist and warning of escalated remedies have also failed to get management's attention and compliance. The $1,000 is not meant to be punitive, but to be compensatory and to achieve a cessation of the repeated failure to comply. It is an extraordinary remedy for an extraordinary circumstance, egregious, repeated violations of a clear provision, and repeated cease and desist agreement and orders. Management can put an end to escalated remedies by complying with its obligations under the national agreement. And you've got a fucking resident officer going around telling motherfuckers that it's our fucking fault. We have hijacked the system. We have brought the DRT to a standstill. We are partly responsible for that because we're asking for an escalated monetary award. Let that sink in. This is your union. Here you have an arbitrator. The best language you will ever read on compliance is right there. That's the best language you will ever read on compliance. The harm of non-compliance. And whose responsibility is? Management and management's alone. Here comes Arbitrator Roberts back in there. I agree in total with Arbitrator Wolitz. Her well-written analysis is directly on point with both cases here today. And for the reasoning she sets forth above, I disagree with management's rationale that the union seeking a $1,000 resolution for a 1-hour violation as being absurd. In my considered opinion, the failure to respect cease and desist orders without any regard to the escalating remedies is incongruous to the spirit and intent of not only the national agreement itself, but also each and every member of that Lake Charles bargaining unit. In my considered opinion, these escalated remedies should continue to intensify up until the time Lake Charles management opts to ritualistically and habitually follow that unambiguous Article 585 language. I'll read that again. In my considered opinion, these escalating remedies should continue to intensify up until the time Lake Charles management opts to ritualistically and habitually follow that unambiguous Article 85 language. That's an arbitrator. That's an arbitrator. And this is the arbitrator that after the hearing, he's patting the file and he looks at management's advocate and he says, there is a number. There is a number. He said, we just hadn't hit it yet, but there's a number. He said that in that hearing. He's patting the file, getting it back in order, and looks at him and says that. There's a number. There is a number that will get you into compliance. Listen to me, city letter carriers, informal, formal DRT advocates. It is never your fault. It is never your fault trying to get management to comply with the agreement. It's never your fault. Your union wants to make it your fault, wants to imply that it's your fault. It is never and will never be your fault trying to get management to comply with the agreement that they came into agreement with us on. Okay? There is a number. There is a figure. And we will reach it. You continue to fight for your people. You continue to fight for compliance. It's not about the money. It's about compliance. If they hit them for $20 and that corrects it, they will never have 25. Right? If you hit them for $25 and that corrects it, you'll never hit 30. But this has come to $1,000. Why? Because management refuses to comply, and it's become so egregious that you have some of the best decisions ever talking about it, about compliance. Don't listen to your union at that level. When we get in there, you will never hear that. It is Katie bar the door when we get in there, because we're going to force compliance. There is a figure. Upper management will never come to me with that bullshit. I will say, you need to start firing people today. Y'all need to come into compliance, because we're going to be instructing our people to go for the throat. We want compliance. You know how y'all want compliance? Y'all want us to be regular in attendance, whatever the fuck that means. Y'all want us to do that? That's how much we want y'all to come into compliance with the contract. Okay? Y'all are firing us because we don't. We want y'all to do the same. All right? When y'all start doing the same, come talk to me. We'll go have dinner together. We'll talk about some shit. Until then, don't come to me with y'all's woe is me bullshit. Losing billions? Don't care. I want to see some fucking pink slips when you come back next. Say this motherfucker was fired from his position because he couldn't abide by the contract, so we got rid of his ass. Bring me some pink slips and we'll start talking. It's never going to be our fault. But then he goes over the remedy. Okay? Then we had a second case. Now, management didn't even show up at the Formula A on this one. Okay? And then they wanted to come in there and argue the remedy, and I stopped them. I said, hang on, Arbitrator Roberts, you've already dealt with this before in Gretna. I handed him his decision. I said, look, they didn't show up at the Formula A. I said, I'm not going to allow them to sit here and talk about this remedy now today. And he shut it down. And this is what he said. Regarding the second matter, this is the second case, the union presented a prima facie case showing the employer failed to participate at the Step A process. The case file simply lacked any formal Step A contentions by the employer. Louisville, listen to me. Louisville, y'all are having a hell of a time with this and your business agent's not helping. The case file simply lacked any formal Step A contentions by this employer. That absence of paperwork only certified the employer failed to participate in the Step A process. And controlling is the language found in the relative portion of the parties' agreement, namely Article 15.2, Formal Step A, Paragraph D. And it talks about at the meeting. The union representative shall make a full and detailed statement of facts relied upon. Right? Management will do the same. The parties' agreement unambiguously lays out a meticulous format towards grievance resolution. Part of that requirement is an exchange of detailed facts and arguments by and between the parties at Step A level. And while the parties' agreement, Article 15.3, makes it clear that failure by the employer to schedule a meeting or render a decision in any of the steps of this procedure within the time herein provided, including mutually agreed to extension periods, shall be deemed to move the grievance to the next step of the grievance arbitration procedure. Significant and controlling in this case is the fact the employer failed to meet with the union, as specifically required at Step A. While the case moves forward in the procedure outlined in Article 15, the language is quite clear that a failure to meet at Step A bars the employer from offering any argument or evidence into any future resolution negotiation up to and including arbitration. And in this matter, it was clear the employer failed to meet at the formal Step A level. And in my considered opinion, this mutes any argument moving forward made by the employer as it relates to the remedy portion of this particular case. That Step A process requires full disclosure by and between the parties. The failure of either party to fully participate squelches any additional argument at a later date by the same pertaining to the particular dispute. Therefore, any remedy argument made by the employer relating to the Joint Exhibit 3 grievance is of no relevance, and of that basis, the union's requested remedy will be granted. In summation, I would like to reiterate an important point made by Arbitrator Wolitz. Until such time that Article 8 violations subside at this Lake Charles installation, the union's only defense is a continual escalating scale in the form of a punitive award. In my view, this is one of the very few times that I would condone an escalating scale relative to a punitive award. The union is required to perform the work as assigned and then grieve later, and I credit the union in their following of that protocol. It was clear that both of these cases were not isolated instances, instead full service weeks. I can understand a single day whereby overtime may not be properly assigned. However, at this installation, that would clearly be the exception. So until that assignment style is radically altered, the union's only alternative is monetary escalation. What about that shit? Take that one and shove it up your ass, resident officer who's going around saying that we're hijacking shit. Again, that's C33023 A and B, Arbitrator Roberts. 33023 A and B. Here's the last one. Motherfuck, 2 hours. The last one, Sherry Rose Talmadge. She's going to talk to you about who's going to correct this shit. 31511. 31511. And I'm just going to read the discussion portion. The service argued that the violations that occurred in the New Haven installation were not egregious, willful, or deliberate, or arbitrary that would warrant the escalated punitive remedy that is being sought by the union. The service asserted that a punitive remedy is used to be a deterrent to stop the violations, and higher level district management as well as area management stepped in to alleviate the underlying causes that contribute to the Article 8 violations. Now I'm going to read that again. The service asserted that a punitive remedy is used to be a deterrent to stop the violations, and higher level district I'm going to read that again. The service, not the union, the service asserted that a punitive remedy is used to be a deterrent to stop the violations. So they're in agreement that punitive remedies are meant to be a deterrent to stop violations. That's what she said. The service asserted that. Higher level district management as well as area management stepped in to alleviate the underlying causes. If you want to stop escalated monetary awards, it is not the union's position to do so. It is not our requirement to do so. Just like when we start addressing the toxic working environment, you must have upper level, higher level management, district, area. They must step in to correct the situation. These people that talk about this TLC's coming in and talking about the toxic work environment, I know what in the fuck I'm talking about. I know how to fix shit. You want shit to be fixed on the workroom floor, we can file 1 million grievances. You have got to get upper management involved when I talk about the inconvenience of it all. You've got to inconvenience these motherfuckers, and then they will want to correct the situation. Toxic working environment, it's not about the manager. It's about the district manager. Getting them involved. Hey, look, we're going in on the workroom floor on this one. We've got a history on this individual. We're putting you on notice. We're going to give you an opportunity to correct it, but we're going in next week. We're letting you know about it. So that when you go to arbitration, you can tell that district manager, hey, look, we're scheduled for arbitration. If you're not on management's witness list, we're calling you as a hostile witness to be there. Okay? If you don't come, we will subpoena you to come. And you're going to testify in front of one of my rabid-ass dog advocates in there that lives for this shit, that loves this fucking shit, that's going to hold you fucking to the letter in this motherfucker. You want to correct shit? She's telling you how to do it right there. Higher level district management as well as area management stepped in to alleviate the underlying causes that contributed to the Article 8 violations. In his National Arbitrator Award, Arbitrator Mittenthal discussed the following well-established arbitration principle. Perhaps most important, the purpose of a remedy is to place employees and management in the position they would have been in had there been no contractual violation. The remedy serves to restore the status quo ante. Thus, as a general rule, monetary damages in arbitration should normally correspond to specific monetary losses suffered. In this case, the union seeks the payment of triple time and 1/2 an administrative leave equal to the amount of time the non-OTDL carriers are forced to work overtime on a route other than their own. The union asserted that this remedy is warranted based on the ongoing violations of Article 8 and 15.3 over a 5-year period, and because management continuously ignored the grievance resolves, Step B team decisions, and arbitration award warning that an escalated remedy would be issued for further violations. It's our fault, right? We're the ones that fault here. Arbitrators often balance the request to grant punitive damages, which can be disruptive to the promotion of an amicable continuing relationship between the parties, with a need to remedy situations that cannot be corrected by other remedies and to ensure that future violations will not occur. Some arbitrators have awarded punitive damages based on a showing that the contractual violation was knowing and repeated, willful, and flagrant, in bad faith, or intended for the purpose of delay, or otherwise egregiously wrongful. And what does your resident officer say? That we're hijacking the process, that it's our fault. We're partly at fault here because management's egregiously wrongful conduct, we shouldn't hold them to the standard of cease and desist. Hopefully they will comply. But it's partly our fault because management don't know their fucking ass from a hole in the ground. They can't control themselves. They can't educate themselves. And so we will take that burden upon ourselves, okay? And we will back off. We're not going to hold them accountable through the grievance procedure. The only weapon we have, Arbitrator Wolitz said, okay? The present case, I agree with the analysis of Arbitrator Cincy in her 2012 decision that there is some ambiguity about whether the penalty sought by the union is punitive when management had agreed in formalized settlements and Step B decisions to escalating penalties in these ongoing forced non-OTDL violations. Cincy considered the present issue as applied to the Allentown office, which is part of the New Haven installation. As Cincy noted, management agreed in some 2011 Allentown formalized settlements to the payment of non-OTDL carriers at the double time rate and administrative leave equal to the amount of time they were forced to work. The Step B team also imposed increasingly serious penalties for the continued violations of Article 8.5G. In December 2011, the B team ordered the payment to non-OTDL carriers at the double time rate and issued further warnings to management in 2011 that it would consider awarding administrative leave for violations that occurred after December 10, 2011. Despite the escalating penalties, there were continuing violations on December 12th and 18th that resulted in the Cincy decision. Cincy concluded that management could hardly complain that payment of non-OTDL carriers at the double time rate and the award of administrative leave are punitive penalties when it agreed to those penalties in some cases and was specifically warned by the B team that such penalties would be considered appropriate for violations occurring after December 10th, 2011. Again, I'm going to ask you, resident officer, what must we do? Answer that. What must we do for management's continued egregious, willful, and wanton violation of the agreement? What must we do? Tell us what to do other than we're not going to do certain things. Tell us what we must do as a union to help our carriers in cases of egregious noncompliance. What must we do? Has anybody said that? Has anybody answered that? What must we do? And we will do it. You tell us what we have to do to bring management into compliance, and we will do it. Has anybody said that? Other than Corey's trying to burn shit down, and we're no longer going to do cease and desist, and we're no longer going to ask for an escalated monetary award. Has anybody said what we must do to bring management into compliance? Call me if they have. Let me know. Since it concluded that management could hardly complain that payment of non-OTDL carriers at a double time rate and the award of administrative leave are punitive penalties when it agreed to those penalties in some cases and was specifically warned by the B team that such penalties would be considered appropriate for violations occurring after December 10th, 2011. She also acknowledged that employees who are forced to work overtime in violation of the contract cannot necessarily be made whole by any monetary award, noting that those who do not sign the OTDL do not want to work overtime because of personal or family obligations, and the additional hours spent at work may cause hardship to employees who cannot meet other responsibilities such as child care, family obligations, or commitments to other organizations and activities. Since it concluded that in the circumstances of these cases, it is appropriate that the additional time spent at work by non-OTDL carriers who are forced to work overtime in violation of the contract be restored in the form of administrative leave. And she goes on to talk about the appropriateness. Then she states this: although I'm sympathetic to the union's position that it would be appropriate that the additional time spent at work by non-OTDL carriers who are forced to work overtime in violation of the contract be restored to them in the form of administrative leave, in this instance, I adopt the monetary remedy that was agreed to by the union and management at the local level of triple time and 1/2 in lieu of administrative leave. To award an administrative day in addition to the 350% would be to further escalate the remedy, which has not appeared to be warranted at this time. Here's why. The reason for the escalated remedy was to address an ongoing overtime issue. In this case, once the area and district became aware of these ongoing issues, they sought to address and alleviate the underlying problems that resulted in the ongoing forced overtime. There was evidence of some improvement of the situation in the testimony by two of the carriers that there had been a reduction in the incidence of forced overtime at the New Haven GPO. Accordingly, I find that the appropriate remedy in this matter for those non-OTDL carriers who are forced to work overtime when OTDL carriers had not been maximized is a monetary award of 350% for the hours they were forced to work overtime in violation of the contract. And she gave them a cease and desist. You got to get upper management involved, period. In anything that we do, you've got to be an inconvenience, okay? You got to be an inconvenience. You got to get them involved. You want to settle shit, they're going to have to do it. We can get 1,000 decisions. But like Arbitrator Roberts said, there is a number. There is a number. You even heard him say it. I'll keep doing it. I'll keep escalating it until y'all come in compliance. It's all we've got. It's all we've got. Right? The grievance procedure is it. That's all we have. And when you try to water that down, when you try to handcuff us, you fuck us over. Those days are coming to an end, right? We're going to take over this motherfucker at the end of this year, and it's in the streets, baby. It's battle time. It is fucking time to hit the fucking streets, and we're going to do it. And I can't fucking wait. I'm not sympathetic to those motherfuckers across the table from me. I will never be sympathetic to them ever. The shit they've done to my people, I will never have sympathy for them. I want fucking pink slips. That's what I want. Fuck them. You got us resident fucking officers going places talking about we've hijacked this motherfucker. Out of your fucking mind. All right, there you go. 2 hours. Next week I'll get back into some basics, okay? I'm going to have JB come on. He's going to talk about, I'm sure it's Deems that y'all are put on. I'm sure it was. And he's going to talk about that. Charlie Miller will be on. In March, the ladies of the CLC will be on this Women's Month this March, okay? And I'm going to have them on, kind of a round table of them. A lot of the those running for business agent, Pam Donato, Director of Retirees, and others will be on. You're going to like that. Some brilliant individuals right there. I'm talking about brilliant, just hard-nosed individuals are going to be on that. You're going to enjoy that. You're going to see more and more of the CLC on things, those that have been in the fight. Okay? Those that have been in the fight. You didn't have to look for us the last 2 years. We were out there in it. We weren't in the fucking closet, peeking out, asking if it's over. We training up street fighters here, son. All right? I love you, Light Blue. I love you, man. I cannot wait to get in there and get at it on your behalf. I love you with all my heart. I do. And good days are coming. I promise you that. Okay. Yeah, have a fantastic rest of the week. Be safe out there. All right. It's crazy times. Be safe out there. I love you, and I'll talk to y'all next Sunday. All right. Oh, tomorrow, Lion's Den, Paul Bolanger. Another episode's coming up with the Lion's Den. Don't miss it. All right. And CCA Corner, they're doing great work. Okay. Discord, Reddit. I write these shit down and I get so frustrated. I pass it over. Discord and Reddit. Don't forget to get on there. Discord and Reddit. All right. And Uniform Guy, get on from 8 Arbitration. It's the only one I got up because when I met the guy, fell in love with the guy. He's all about the city letter carrier, and he's the one that sells uniforms. Get on there, show him some love, get your uniforms from him. Again, he doesn't pay me a cent to do it, to put it out there. But when we talk, man, he's just all about the city letter carrier. So make sure if you're going to get your uniforms, get on from 8arbitration.com. He'll be on there, okay? And get your shit from him, all right? All right, then. That's it. I love y'all, and I'll talk to y'all next Sunday, all right? Bye.